After a long electoral process which lasted more than 1 month, the BJP Party, led by incumbent Prime Minister Nerandra Modi, has once again emerged victorious in India's parliamentary elections. As such, Modi will continue to guide India for another 5 years that coincides with a delicate moment for the country's rise. Modi will have to face various challenges and his decisions will leave a lasting mark on India. I'm your host Kasim and welcome to another KJ vid. In this video we will discuss the recent Indian elections and Narendra Modi's victory. But just before we begin, please support KJ Vids by subscribing to our membership plan on kjvids.co.uk. Our website has tons of other content and is a useful resource for anyone who wishes to learn more about global issues. Your subscription will also help us keep politically and financially independent. Narendra Modi has a long political career behind him. Born in 1950, he had his first contact with politics when he was still a child. Aged only 8, he attended the meetings of the RSS organisation for the first time. The affiliation to this political group, whose ideology is based on Hindu nationalism, marked his life forever. In the late 80s, Modi became involved with the BJP Party, which can be regarded as the political expression of the RSS organisation. In 2001, Modi became Chief Minister of his native state of Gujarat, and only 1 year later he became involved in one of the most controversial episodes of his political career and of India's history. In a still unclear incident, a train carrying Hindu pilgrims took fire, resulting in the death of around 60 people. The Muslim community was soon blamed, leading to anti-Muslim attacks that are believed to have been allowed, if not organised, by Modi's government. The ethnic infighting that followed resulted in several hundred people losing their lives. Following the event, the local parliament was dissolved and new elections were organised. Modi won once again and served until 2014, when he won the Indian general elections as the chief of the BJP Party, thus becoming the country's Prime Minister. The results he has achieved during his 5 years as a head of the government are mixed. Economically, Modi implemented neoliberal policies based on liberalisation and privatisation. Restrictions on foreign direct investment have been relaxed, and the price of diesel has been deregulated. Many environmental friendly restrictions have been reduced or lifted. Corporate taxes and custom duties have been reduced, the wealth tax has been eliminated, and sales taxes have been increased. An ambitious Make in India program has been launched to encourage foreign companies to produce in the country, with the aim of turning it into a global manufacturing hub and of making industrial production account for 25% of the GDP by 2025. However, the objective is far from being achieved. Similarly, Modi's promise to create new jobs did not translate into practice, and some even argue that unemployment has actually increased. In an attempt to tackle corruption and black money, Modi retired the 500 and 1000 rupee banknotes. In the short term, this resulted into a cash shortage and in turbulences on India's financial markets, but it seems that it has actually brought an increase of the income tax revenues and that it has encouraged the use of digital currency. All in all, India's GDP has grown at a steady pace of around 6 to 7% per year, making of the country the world's third largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity. Yet, the actual benefits for the population have remained limited. Income inequality has become more obvious, and the funding to several social care programs has been cut, something quite problematic for a country where millions still live in poverty. Modi had also pledged to double the income of farmers, who represent a considerable portion of India's population. However, the burden debt on farmers remains high, and combined with an agricultural reform that makes it easier to buy land, this has resulted into discontent and protests in the rural communities. Another problem that affects the countryside is the widespread use of wood or kerosene for cooking, which has a significant environmental impact. A project to subsidise the use of gas brought many villages to switch their habits for a certain period, but the subsequent reduction of the subsidies has reverted the trend. The efforts to clean the Ganges, which is also a sacred river for Hindus, have also stagnated. Better results have been achieved into improving access to toilets. Many more have been built all over the country, but not all of them are functioning. In regards to the safety of women, the number of cases of violence that are denounced is now higher, but the conviction rate has remained roughly the same as before. In socio-political terms, the role of Hindu nationalism on Modi's government has been significant. Pre-existing ties between the BJP and the RSS organisation has grown stronger. The latter actively supports the BJP, and many of its members have been appointed to important positions. Manifestations by Hindu nationalists have become more common, and there have been tensions with the large Muslim community, sometimes resulting into violent episodes. At the same time, non-Muslims from neighbouring countries can now obtain the permit to legally live in India more easily. Several non-governmental organisations have been investigated, sparking criticism from many. Modi has also implemented policies to reform the public administration, digitise bureaucracy, and centralise power in the hands of the government. In terms of foreign policy, Modi has acted according to his nationalist stance. He promised to be tough on Pakistan and accused it of supporting jihadi terrorism. There have been repeated clashes between the armed forces of the two countries in disputed Kashmir, and the Indian military performed various surgical airstrikes on objectives in Pakistani territory. The latest and most serious episode occurred in February 2019 when Pakistan retaliated in the wake of another Indian air raid. This triggered a skirmish during which an Indian fighter was shot down and its pilot was captured. With tensions between the two nuclear-armed powers at their highest level since decades, the issue was finally solved when Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan released the Indian pilot, a move that actually reveals that Pakistan, being military inferior, wants to avoid an escalation, but that made Khan look like a responsible leader to the international audience. Apart from that, Modi's term has been also marked by a growing geopolitical competition with China. India fears to be encircled by China, which maintains very friendly relations with Pakistan and is fostering closer ties with Nepal, all while investing all over the Indian Ocean to build ports in the context of its Maritime Silk Road route. In the context of its Maritime Silk Road initiative. India and China also faced each other in a small-scale military standoff along the disputed border in 2017. Modi acted to counter China's presence. He supported a pro-Indian candidate who surprisingly won the elections in the Maldives after the pro-Chinese president tried to consolidate its power. He has engaged Myanmar economically to avoid it getting too entangled with China, and most importantly, he has built closer relations with other powers who share India's concerns over China's rise. This has resulted in the reviving of the quadrilateral security dialogue, which includes India, the US, Japan and Australia. But under Modi's premiership, India has also been modernising its armed forces, also by developing the local defence industry and by procuring advanced weapon systems from abroad, such as 36 Rafale fighters and 6 Scorpion-class diesel-electric attack submarines from France. India's first nuclear power ballistic missile submarine, the INS Arihant, was also commissioned, but its actual capabilities are definitely inferior to its counterpart from other countries. Yet much work remains to be done, and even though the military expenditures have grown in nominal terms, they have actually declined when taking inflation into account and considering them as a percentage of the GDP. Moreover, the money was mostly spent on personal and not on actual modernisation initiatives. As such, even though many of Modi's policies have not been completely successful, the recent elections demonstrate that he is still immensely popular in India, having won even more seats than in 2014. Yet there are various challenges that he will have to face in the next term. Domestically, Modi will have to properly deal with 3 issues. Firstly, he will have to ensure that the economy continues to grow, and most importantly that this brings benefit for the poorest segments of India's population. Apart from political considerations, this is also essential to turn India into a world-class power capable of satisfying its international ambitions. Secondly, environmental considerations should not be neglected. India is one of the world's areas most exposed to the effects of global warming, and its cities suffer from heavy pollution and overcrowding. The government must take the environmental aspects into consideration, or current development will translate into high social and economic costs in the long term. Thirdly, while a Hindu nationalist discourse surely appeals to the Hindu masses, it could exacerbate tensions with the Muslim community, which counts approximately 200 people, meaning a 14% of the country's population. Inter-ethnic fighting, terrorism, or even armed insurgency could undermine India's social cohesion and hinder its rise. As far as foreign relations are concerned, coping with China's rise and with Pakistan will be the main challenge, especially considering the ever closer ties between the two. Pursuing a nationalist foreign policy and acting toughly may be good for domestic electoral promises, but it also brings the risk of resulting in either a diplomatic debacle or in a military escalation. The latter scenario would be particularly dangerous because both China and Pakistan possess nuclear weapons. All in all, the next 5 years will be a complex endeavour for Modi and for India as a whole. How the challenges ahead will be managed will largely determine whether and to what degree India will succeed in becoming a fully fledged great power on the international scene. That's all for today guys, thanks for watching another KJ vid. What are your thoughts on India's recent victory? Do you think his victory will create further tensions between Muslims and Hindus? What is your view on India's status as a superpower by 2030? We would love to hear your views in the comments below. Please don't forget to support us by subscribing on our website kjvids.co.uk, which will help us to keep financially and politically independent and to help keep this channel alive. Thanks for watching again, and see you next time.